Off there to the right somewhere is a large island. It's rather a mystery.
What island is it?
The old charts call it Ship Trap. A suggestive name, isn't it? Sailors have a curious dread of the place. I don't know why. Some superstition.
Can't see it.
Rainsford tried to peer through the dank tropical night that was palpable as it pressed its thick warm blackness in upon the yacht.
You've good eyes, and I've seen you pick off a moose moving in the brown fall bush at 400 yards, but even you can't see for miles or so through a moonless Caribbean night.
Nor 4 yards. Ugh, it's like moist black velvet.
It will be light enough in Rio. We should make it in a few days. I hope the Jaguar guns have come from Purdy's. We should have some good hunting up the Amazon. Great sport. Hunting.
The best sport in the world.
For the hunter, not for the Jaguar.
Don't talk rot, Whitney. You're a big game hunter, not a philosopher. Who cares how a jaguar feels?
Perhaps the Jaguar does.
Bah, they've no understanding.
Even so, I rather think they understand one thing: fear. The fear of pain and the fear of death.
Nonsense. This hot weather is making you soft, Whitney. Be a realist. The world is made up of 2 classes, the hunters and the huntees. Luckily, you and I are hunters. Do you think we've passed that island yet?
I can't tell in the dark. I hope so.
Why?
The place has a reputation, a bad one.
Cannibals?
Hardly. Even cannibals wouldn't live in such a god-forsaken place, but it's gotten into sailor lore somehow. Didn't you notice that the crew's nerves seemed a bit jumpy today?
They were a bit strange, now you mention it. Even Captain Nielsen.
Yes, even that tough-minded old Swede would go up to the devil himself and ask for a light. Those fishy blue eyes held a look I never saw there before. All I could get out of him was, "This place has an evil name among seafaring men, sir." Then he said to me, very gravely, "Don't you feel anything?" As if the air about us was actually poisonous. Now, you mustn't laugh when I tell you this. I did feel something like a sudden chill.
Pure imagination. One superstitious sailor can taint the whole ship's company with his fear.
Maybe, but sometimes I think sailors have an extra sense that tells them when they are in danger. Sometimes I think evil is a tangible thing with wavelengths, just as sound and light have. An evil place can, so to speak, broadcast vibrations of evil. Anyhow, I'm glad we're getting out of this zone. Well, I think I'll turn in now, Rainsford.
I'm not sleepy. I'm going to smoke another pipe upon the afterdeck.
Good night, then, Rainsford. See you at breakfast.
Right. Good night, Whitney.
There was no sound in the night as Rainsford sat there, but the muffled throb of the engine that drove the yacht swiftly through the darkness, and the swish and ripple of the wash of the propeller. Rainsford, reclining in a steamer chair, indolently puffed on his favorite briar. The sensuous drowsiness of the night was on him.
It's so dark that I could sleep without closing my eyes. The night would be my eyelids.
Off to the right he heard it, and Hizzers, expert in such matters, could not be mistaken. Again he heard the sound, and again, somewhere, off in the blackness, someone had fired a gun 3 times. Mystified, he strained his eyes in the direction from which the reports had come, but it was like trying to see through a blanket. Rainsford remembered the shots. They had came from the right.
Pistol shot. Where there are pistol shots, there are men. But what kind of men, in so forbidding a place? A 22. That's odd. It must have been a fairly large animal too. The hunter had his nerve with him to tackle it with the light gun. It's clear that the brute put up a fight. I suppose the first 3 shots I heard was when the hunter flushed his quarry and wounded it. The last shot was when he trailed it here and finished it.
Rainsford examined the ground closely and found what he had hoped to find: the prints of hunting boots. They pointed along the cliff in the direction he had been going.
Mirage. Don't be alarmed, I'm no robber. I fell off a yacht. My name is Sanger Rainsford of New York City. I'm Sanger Rainsford of New York. I fell off a yacht. I am hungry.
It is a very great pleasure and honor to welcome Mr. Sanger Rainsford, the celebrated hunter, to my home. I've read your book about hunting snow leopards in Tibet, you see. I am General Zaroff. Ivan is an incredibly strong fellow, but he has the misfortune to be deaf and dumb, a simple fellow. But I'm afraid, like all his race, a bit savage.
Is he Russian?
He is a Cossack, so am I. Come, we shouldn't be chatting here. We can talk later. Now you want clothes, food, rest. You shall have them. This is a most restful spot. Follow Ivan, if you please, Mr. Rainsford. I was about to have my dinner when you came. I'll wait for you. You'll find that my clothes will fit you, I think. You'll have a cocktail, Mr. Rainsford. We do our best to preserve the amenities of civilization here. Please forgive any lapses. We are well off the beaten track. You know, Dotio, you think the champagne has suffered from its long ocean trip.
Not in the least.
Perhaps you were surprised that I recognized your name. You see, I read all books on hunting published in English, French, and Russian. I have but one passion in my life, Mr. Rainsford, and it is the hunt.
You have some wonderful heads here. That Cape Buffalo is the largest I ever saw.
Oh, that fellow. Yes, he was a monster.
Did he charge you?
Held me against a tree, fractured my skull, but I got the brute.
I've always thought that the Cape Buffalo is the most dangerous of all big game.
No, you are wrong, sir. The Cape Buffalo is not the most dangerous big game. Here in my preserve on this island, I hunt more dangerous game.
Is there big game on Thysis land?
The biggest.
Really?
Oh, it isn't here naturally, of course. I have to stock the island.
What have you imported, General? Tigers?
No, hunting tigers ceased to interest me some years ago. I exhausted their possibilities. You see, no thrill left in tigers, no real danger. I live for danger, Mr. Rainsford. We will have some capital hunting. You and I. I shall be most glad to have your society.
But what game?
I'll tell you. You will be amused, I know. I think I may say, in all modesty, that I have done a rare thing. I have invented a new sensation. May I pour you another glass of port?
Thank you, General.
God makes some men poets, some he makes kings. Some beggars, me, he made a hunter. My hand was made for the trigger, my father said. He was a very rich man with 250,000 acres in the Crimea, and he was an ardent sportsman. When I was only 5 years old, he gave me a little gun, specially made in Moscow for me, to shoot sparrows with. When I shot some of his prize turkeys with it, he did not punish me. He complimented me on my marksmanship. I killed my first bear in the Caucasus when I was 10. My whole life has been one prolonged hunt. I went into the army. It was expected of noblemen's sons, and for a time commanded a division of Cossack cavalry. But my real interest was always the hunt, I have hunted every kind of game in every land. It would be impossible for me to tell you how many animals I have killed. After the debacle in Russia, I left the country, for it was imprudent for an officer of the Tsar to stay there. Many noble Russians lost everything. I luckily had invested heavily in American securities, so I shall never have to open a tea room in Monte Carlo or drive a taxi in Paris. Naturally, I continued to hunt grizzlies in your Rockies, crocodiles in the Ganges, rhinoceroses in East Africa. It was in Africa that the Cape buffalo hit me and laid me up for 6 months. As soon as I recovered, I started for the Amazon to hunt jaguars, for I had heard they were unusually cunning. They weren't. They were no match at all for a hunter with his wits about him, and a high-powered rifle. I was highly disappointed. I was lying in my tent with a splitting headache one night when a terrible thought pushed its way into my mind. Hunting was beginning to bore me, and hunting, remember, had been my life. I have heard that in America businessmen often go to pieces when they give up the business that has been their life.
Yes, that's so.
I had no wish to go to pieces. I must do something now. Mine is an analytical mind, Mr. Rainsford. Doubtless that is why I enjoy the problems of the chase.
No doubt, General Zaroff.
So, I asked myself why the hunt no longer fascinated me. You are much younger than I am, Mr. Rainsford, and have not hunted as much, but you perhaps can guess the answer.
What was it?
Simply this: hunting had ceased to be what you call a sporting proposition. It had become too easy. I always got my quarry, always. There is no greater bore than perfection. No animal had a chance with me anymore. That is no boast. It is a mathematical certainty. The animal had nothing but his legs and his instinct. Instinct is no match for reason. When I thought of this, it was a tragic moment for me. I can tell you, it came to me as an inspiration what must do.
And that was?
I had to invent a new animal to hunt.
A new animal? You're joking.
Not at all. I never joke about hunting. I needed a new animal. I found one, so I bought this island, built this house, and here I do my hunting. The island is perfect for my purposes. There are jungles with a maze of traits in them, hills, swamps.
But the animal, General Zaroff.
Oh, it supplies me with the most exciting hunting in the world. No other hunting compares with it for an instant. Every day I hunt, and I never grow bored now, for I have a quarry with which I can match my wits.
Sorry for the abrupt ending, so I'm not finishing this project. I worked really hard on it. I've worked on this for a couple months, but no, I'm not gonna finish this, so I'm sorry if you guys want to see an actual finished most dangerous game extra Sekai thing, because I'm not gonna do it. This project took a very, very long time, and I have so much more stuff I needed to do, but I started this on first semester, and it's second semester, so I don't have the strength to go on, so this will be the ending. I doubt that I'll come back to it later and finish it, so I hope you enjoyed it, even though it was pretty short. I liked it, I liked working on it, but I'm very tired, so that'll be the end, so see ya.